Thanks for tuning in to Look at My JPEG, the podcast that discusses NFT, DeFi, and NFT financialization. This is your host, Xerox Jose, the founder of NFT Perp. The reason why I want to do this podcast is because there's just not enough people talking about NFT financializations. In this podcast, you can expect us to invite guests that are builders, founders, even investors that are deep in the NFT financialization space. We'll discuss their story, what they're building, and how you can get involved. So thanks for tuning in. GM, welcome to the show.
GM.
It's good to hear from you guys again. It's been a minute.
It's been a while, yeah. I think I'm trying to remember, we were on episode 5 or 6, and that was a really long time ago.
Yeah, you guys were one of the earliest ones, I would say.
That makes me feel so special.
You guys are special.
Aww.
So I guess has it been maybe a year? I can't remember how long ago it was when we had you guys on. Give us a quick update. What happened in the last year for you guys?
Yeah. But before I start, I just wanted to say congratulations to the NFT Perp for the amazing news today.
Thank you. For those that don't have the context, we just announced our Series A round led by 1KX Network, 1KX Fund, and Mechanism Capital, and Maven 11 was also in the round. So, yeah, super excited to announce the news and excited for this NFT run that's coming in this cycle. And we're here to build, continue to ship cool stuff. So, thank you, Lars.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And to be fair, NFT Perp, out of all the experiments that were launched within the category, you guys definitely had product market fit. So I'm super happy to see that you guys are still the top dogs in the Perps category for JPEGs. But to quickly provide an overview on what's happening at Insrt, it's actually been a year. It's been about a year. We did our first Shardwall deploy in December, right? Over the next 6 months, we got 2 million TVL. It generated quite a bit of revenue as well. Got some hype, had great partnerships. For example, we did a collab with Bearchain. And when the Bomb Bear shards were launched the first time, we got 75 ETH deposited into our protocol in under 3 minutes, right? So a bunch of guys from Nansen jumped to our Discord because they saw the on-chain activity pick up in our contracts, and they were like, "Hey, what's up?" But what we kind of realized through that process, because the initial idea for Insrt, at least how we saw it, was to build the yard for NFT finance, right? We wanted to combine different Legos and primitives we wanted to build Legos on top of primitives, be it lending, fractionalization, and directional trading that would provide a set and forget experience for anybody who's interested in getting exposure to the space. What happened was that we quickly realized that, a lot of the things that we wanted to do, we couldn't do it with the architecture and the product that we had. So either way, we saw that if we wanted to continue down the fractionalization route, we'd basically be building another NFTX or flooring protocol. And that isn't really what we wanted to do. So we just talked to our users. We're a super user research-centric team. Thought about first principles and why we believe in NFTs as a technology or space in the first place. And we launched a new product 7 weeks ago straight to mainnet. We already have 160K gross gaming revenue, and basically the idea is you can play an on-chain loot box game that's very much inspired from NFT mints, like PFP mints, but the prizes are created and listed by communities, creators, and brands that our users already love. So we launched a relatively simple desktop MVP, and yeah, we kind of landed it. A lot of our users love it. There's definitely been quite a bit of volume. We've kept it relatively low key because we shipped it in 2 months, right? We knew we had to pivot, right? So we did have time for 6 or 8 months of development. But now that we've kind of validated the core assumptions and landed the pivot, we're pretty much, just rushing to get a PWA out on base next month with embedded wallets, right? So users can just hop in; they don't have to sign a transaction every single time, and execute on a lot of the partnerships that we have in our pipeline. So that's the general story of Insrt. We're like super happy about our community supporting the shard wallets, and we're also happy that they're going to come out with positive P&L once this chapter is closed.
That's cool. So yeah, PWA stands for Progressive Web Apps. It's more like a friend tech-like experience in terms of users adding the app on their phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. How we see the experience or the mobile app for the end users, they can go in, discover like offers or prizes they would like to win. So, for example, last week we created an NFT where people could win a chance to play Fortnite with WeX Cozy. And next week, we're launching another collab where users will be able to win an NFT that gives them the right to join. So there's Shizo Freak or Lucas Computer on Twitter, amazing guy, and he has a podcast, Lucas and Worse. So a couple of the winners of the NFT will be able to join their podcast as guests. So we're like aiming. So how we see it is that we really want people to jump into their phones, see if there's if there's cool stuff that they could potentially win, and that they could be able to do that on demand at any time from any location with, rather cheaply. So a mobile experience for us is super important.
Yeah. So is the goal to be? You mentioned that you guys have launched straight on mainnet for Ethereum not that long ago, and then the plan is to go on base right now. Is part of that reason because of the gas fee that's coming up on Ethereum right now? It seems pretty expensive to call any smart contracts at the moment.
That's a great hunch. And yes, performance and front end, if we're like diving into architecture and technical stuff, front end performance and smoothness is definitely like a key consideration for us, right? But secondly, we just one of the cool things about our product is how we've developed the claim system is that you can win if you're on Arbitrum, you can win let's say an NFT or any other kind of asset that's native on another L1 or L2 without leaving Arbitrum. And like that kind of multi-chain approach is something we definitely want to lead to over time.
Okay, that's really interesting. And so I'm curious, like from NFT finance to the loot box experience. And by the way, yesterday, recently, like Solana has been taken up quite a bit, right? So I was trading on Tensor just yesterday, and I noticed this really interesting thing that they have on their buy button. There's like a little dice around it, and essentially you pay a fraction of the price, but you may or may not win on a roll of a dice to buy that NFT. So what I'm getting at is like it seems like the experience of loot boxes is something that a lot of traders, a lot of people that are looking for opportunities have are attracted to doing. So with that being said, like, do you guys kind of envision yourself focusing on this specific niche going forward? And if you sort of venture into this like lottery loot boxes, or however you want to kind of phrase the angle of the protocol, like does that mean you open us to other opportunities for you guys as well, like in this same vertical?
Yeah, like I think the best way to think about it is people love variance, right? So obviously if you're using like there are like reserve based raffle systems out there or variance based features out there simply because users love variance, and that's something we've learned as well. What we're trying to build here is, and what's really important for us, why is that extremely important for us, so that we're actually a product and not just a potential feature set, is execute on partnerships and collaborations where people can win cool stuff that they can't get anywhere else. And what I mean by that is, sure, you can hop into our app, spin, roll, win, mint. I can dive into a little bit more detail on that as well, and win, like, let's say, a quote unquote blue chip. Like that happened last week. A user won a Pudgy right after the
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
price increase. But what we want to focus on as well is, and where we really see the long-term play, is focusing on more intangible stuff. So literally using the NFTs that we create and list prizes with to wrap around like weird stuff, to wrap around promises created by creators and communities. Let's just say like a $5,000 or $10,000 worth premium package from a content creator online, and it's listed in the form of an NFT that people can win. So what we're kind of like trying to do here is not just create like a way for people to gamble and win something, but bring in stuff and bring in forms of value that's unique, and on top of that really only works if it happens through a variance based game style. And what I mean by that is in our case, like let's just imagine that something, whatever it is worth $10,000, or like let's say 20 ETH. In a traditional auction market, you simply have the outcome where the biggest bidder wins, or if it's a more of a standard like buy sell marketplace, then obviously it's just somebody who wants to bid for the price that has been listed. In our case, what's cool is you're gonna have a bid side that's 100 or 1,000 people bidding a small amount with a limited amount of winners. Thus, the supply side, as listed or created the asset, they technically have an uncapped upside. And all this happens in real time, so it's not like it's a raffle. Like the results are generated in real time. So what we're trying to uncover is what kind of cool stuff that we can potentially put on the supply side, where we are like absolutely the best solution for origination, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm curious, like from the supplies perspective, can you go through some the features and specifics of how the protocol works on a supply standpoint in terms of like who's supplying the prizes, and where the mint fees, like where does that go to, and how it's like the value structure broken down on Insert?
Sure. So what we currently do on the supply side is that we white glove it, because 2 months ago, when we had a clear design in mind, we realized that first of all, before we launch at the demand side and basically learn more about the game, we don't have a clue on how the supply side operates. So building out tooling for that would just be like it would be a terrible mistake. So what we've been doing so far is just helping people through, educating them on all the cool stuff that we can do, and listing it ourselves through contracts manipulation, having a discussion about the prices and the probabilities. And as we go through this process, we develop, a repository of knowledge on what actually we will need to make the supply side product permissionless and self-service. We're simply not there yet. We want to be there in about 3 or 4 months. This is an MVP. But how we see the supply side value proposition and who would actually use it, well, fundamentally there's 3 angles. You can use it as a way to generate fees on the let's say the gambling volume that's generated by a particular asset, and you don't have a cap upside. The second angle is that you might like list something funny, interesting, or unique opportunity that doesn't even have an explicit price, and more or less generate, I would have to say, fees based on capturing mindshare. And another thing that we've been exploring with is potentially using ourselves as a launch pad for upcoming artists or collections, because it provides a very different minting experience compared to most mints out there. It's more variance based. There's more asymmetry in the payoffs, and people love variance and moonshots. So we're still in the process of figuring out how that supply side will evolve.
So do people that are supplying the prizes, do they have to put down the NFT in a vault for the minting to start, or would you have like if you start collecting fees and if someone actually hits it, you go and purchase an NFT?
It depends. Some of the assets listed on the platform, we've listed them ourselves. So that's the latter process, the one that you described. But for third-party listings, yes, we need to make sure that we will be able to execute on deliver the goods to the winner of to the winner if the VRF does designate a winner. So we have to lock them up.
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. What else are you guys working on in terms of like upcoming features for users? And yeah, like I'm curious kind of how you guys think about the broader composability and integrations around NFT ecosystem.
Sure. So I already mentioned the PWA cost of onboarding feature set that we're going to launch next month. But what's really cool about what we're building is the Mint token. So the Mint token is a non-transferable token within our product. And how we see the Mint token is, there's two ways to think about it. It's a stable coin that wraps around like all of the prizes on the platform, or it's the Chuck E. Cheese coin of on-chain gambling. And what I mean by that is users, when they play the product, they either win the prize or they win Mint. And Mint has a variance schedule in itself as well. So Mint can actually make you positive, even if in terms of your initial spin or bid, even if you didn't win the main prize. And if you hold Mint, anytime that somebody else plays, you also accrue Mint over time. So there is, I would have to say, kind of like this rebasing mechanic, but at the same time, all Mint is back 1-to-1 with ETH. And what users can do with Mint is they can use it to play for free, they can swap out to ETH, they can accrue that passive yield. But something that we want to implement very soon is that you can actually redeem prizes with Mint. So let's say you try to win something pretty expensive, like a Pudgy, you win some Mint, but even if you didn't win the Pudgy, nevertheless, you can redeem the Mint for a relatively cheaper prize, which makes the user experience so much more fun and provides it with a lot more depth. And when it comes to composability within the broader ecosystem, what we're thinking is something that we absolutely have to do, and we've already been talking about this, is listing some of these more original assets on NFT AMMs. SudoSwap would absolutely be a great example of that. And depending if we can find forms of, let's say, categorization for some of the assets that we're creating, and if the market does grow, we do see a potential for effectively allowing futures trading platforms or other kind of trading primitives to give users a chance to speculate on the underlying assets.
You mentioned earlier that Mint is non-transferable.
Yes.
So at what point do they become transferable that users can swap for ETH?
It's an inbuilt feature in the app. You can, if you have Mint, you can hop into the app and just swap to ETH at any time. What I mean by transferability is that it's not a tradable token. And how we currently see the system is that we do not want to make it tradable for quite some time until, let's say, the system has grown to a certain amount of scale.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sounds good. That's exciting. So what's coming up next for you guys in terms of deployment on Base? What can we expect in the next 3 to 6 months?
Sure. So the key thing about Base is that we're really, whenever we deploy, so we have quite a few deployment partnerships coming up. And what we want to do with every single chain is really lean into the culture and ethos of what the chain is about, right? So Base might be one thing, Monad might be one thing, certain other alt L1s might be another thing. Unfortunately, can't mention certain things due to an NDA. And what we're really doing with Base is we're partnering up with Base-centric artists, Base-centric products, and protocols are already active on Base. And just letting people, the whole ethos behind our deployment is that you can come in and you can play our on-chain game in order to quickly win a lot of cool art or artifacts of on-chain culture through a fun Gamba PV environment. And what we're going to do there, in contrast to our current MVP, is make everything a lot more cheaper, right? Really make it accessible, really make the cost of entry super, super cheap. And that's the main thing on our roadmap that we're focusing on. And afterwards, it's really just a question of improving the experience, bringing in more prizes, creators, and communities, and deploying to more chains for more chain-specific benefits. And if anybody in this space wants to try out the MVP, which is still really like super basic experience up until next month, feel free to reach out to us or join our Telegram channel. We'll airdrop you some mint so you can try out the product with real money.
All right. Well, thanks, Lars, for coming on and sharing what you guys have been up to. Really excited about this new product and direction you guys are taking. I think this is something really new that I haven't personally seen a lot before. So excited for you guys going forward. And yeah, let's keep in touch. We would love to have you guys on again.
Absolutely. And good luck with the V2 launch.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Sure.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Look at My JPEG podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your audio podcast from, give us a like, a subscribe if you like the content, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.